Welcome to the starting demos for Excel 2011. In this demo, we're just basically going to check out what this window called Excel is all about. And so let's look at what we have here. And what we have is called a workbook. You'll notice that at the top, it's called a workbook. The workbook is made up of worksheets. So by default, you have one worksheet that you can start with, and then you can add more worksheets by clicking the little plus sign down here. I'll add two more, and we now have worksheet 3. And this tab tells me which worksheet is the active worksheet at the moment. We'll go back to worksheet 1. When you first look at this worksheet, it kind of looks like the old Sink the Battleship game because it has columns of letters and rows of numbers. And each individual part, referred to as a cell, is given the name of its column and its row. So this is cell I-19. Over here, D9. Notice that that number, or that cell identifier, shows up in this box up here, D9, and that's referred to as the name box. We'll actually use the name box later to select a range of cells. So to actually do that, you just click and drag, and notice as I click and drag to select cells that my name box is referring to rows and columns, not the actual cell names, rows and columns. If I wanted to select this same area, I would use the name box and say I want to go from B5 through E10. To do that up here, you just type in or have the B5 there, and you use a colon. Colon means through, and then E10. Hit the enter key, and you have your cell. Now, it doesn't look like anything changed, and obviously it didn't because I was selecting the same scenario, same situation. Let's do a little different one. Let's go from C2 through H19. I don't have to use capital letters. The lowercase h is just fine. Hit the enter key, and notice it's now selected a bigger area from C2 through H19. So it always identifies the upper left-hand corner and the bottom right-hand corner. As we look at the ribbons, we're going to see that there's not much difference, at least in this first part of the ribbons, with what we saw in Word. A little bit centering goes on here, font manipulation. But when we get over here more to the right, we now start seeing things that deal with numbers, that deal with cell formatting, that deals with inserting and deleting and formatting cells, because that's the group. So in this home ribbon, you have a lot here that deals with numbers and cell formatting. The other tabs, you'll notice, are a little different. Layout, not too much difference there. Tables, same thing. We're going to work with tables a little later. They work differently in Excel than they do in Word. Charts is something brand new we're going to look at, adding charts. Smart Art a little bit later. In week 2, we'll be adding some Smart Art. And then formulas, definitely new. Data, still there, but a new look for data. So these things are all part of these ribbons. You'll probably spend most of your time on the home ribbon. So this area up here where we find our toolbox, some more quick file functions that we have some extra things that are going to be very useful in the future. This button right here is called the sigma. That's a Greek letter and it means sum. And if you look at it, we have sum, average, count, max, and minimums, as well as other functions. If you look at the toolbox, it doesn't have as much as it used to have. If you have Office 2008, The toolbox had a lot more than this one, just like it did in Word. Doesn't have as much now because the ribbons have taken the place pretty much of what the functions of the toolbox deal with. Number formatting is very important here. This pull down gives us a quick way of changing our numbers into different things to represent for us what they are, whether they're money, currency, and accounting, whether that number is a date, and that's a true statement right there. In Excel, dates are numbers. Time, percentage, fraction, scientific, and so on down the list. So this number pull down is going to be very important in the use of that. Whenever you notice we still have our area active here. Whenever you want to deactivate an area that you've selected, you just a matter of clicking somewhere else on the spreadsheet and it'll go away. Another very important part is this area right up here. It's called the formula bar. And the formula bar is the bar that we use to correct or edit any equations or functions or text that we put in and they need correcting. Once again, when you go to save something, we're going to go up to the File menu and we're going to Save, and you have the option of picking out Excel Workbook XLSX. Those will be the ones that work with 2008 and 2011. Or you can go down and pick the XLS, which is the older Excel extension. Or again, we have PDFs. But then we have a whole bunch more down here under these specialty formats. We're not really going to get into these in this class, but if you got into a class that went into intermediate and advanced Excel, you definitely would be getting into those saving formats. If you select a cell, you might get this little drop down which has insert options. How do I want to insert? Or you can use the control and click, and that brings up a nice dialog box of different things that you can do in that particular cell. So there's more than one way to get to what you want when it comes to working with the numbers and the text that you put into an Excel spreadsheet.